So we read this week, this is one of the parshiot where we get, it's basically the IKEA section of the Torah. We get details upon details about how we're supposed to build the Mishkan. And in all of these details, we get the instructions for how we're supposed to build the ark, right? And this is specifically, Bezalel builds the ark, right? This is like Raiders of the Lost. This is the ark that was lost. And in the instructions that are given for this, there's a very careful description of the lid of the ark in the middle of the Mishkan. And the instructions say that on the lid, there are supposed to be these two kruvim, these two heavenly creatures, right, who are standing with their wings up like this. And so I actually want to invite you, if you feel comfortable, or even if it feels a little uncomfortable, to actually try this for a moment, right? You're holding Kiddush. I didn't count on that part. So you might notice, right, you can hold this for a minute or two, but you might suddenly start thinking like, wow, those chest muscles are hurting a little bit, or the back's hurting a little bit, right? You could keep them up, or you could take them down. But you might notice before too long, it's not so easy to hold them up like that. There you go. But the text says something remarkable in there. It says that of all of the places within the Mishkan, of all of the places where the Israelites journey in Sinai, the Holy One says, I will be there in between these kruvim who are standing with their wings up, looking each other in the face, almost as if in a posture of surrender. And I think at the center of the Mishkan, the Torah is telling us what it is to live and the deal we have to make in order to live a life of purpose. I really want to applaud everyone in the back who's got their arms still up, because this is the deal. We can live open. We can live with the difficulty of standing in this posture of surrender and openness, and two things will be true, at least two. I can think of three. There might be more by the time I'm done. One, it's exhausting. Right? You just can't stay this open for that long without your arms starting to fatigue. It's tiring. Thing number two, you're vulnerable. You have never seen a boxer walk into a boxing ring and stand like this, because it's a great way to get punched in the gut. But what the Torah offers is, if these kruvim stand there in this posture of openness, maybe, just maybe, the Holy One will speak to us from that space of two people in open and vulnerable connection. If you're familiar with Martin Buber, I and Thou, this is what he's talking about when he says the divine is the electricity that surges between people in true connection. And if we don't, if we find this is too exhausting or too dangerous or too vulnerable, we can step back and get into battle posture. We can get defensive and shut down. And if we do that, not if, when we do that, we might be safer, we might be more comfortable, and we will close off the possibility of true connection, close off the possibility of holiness. And as we move through life, as surely as the Israelites moving through the wilderness, this is true in our personal lives, this is true in our communal lives, this is true in our political lives. Our options, I think, are always take the risks of vulnerability, take the risks of openness, take the risks of exhaustion and getting punched in the gut, and live for that possibility of real connection, or operate out of fear and defensiveness, be ready to fight, see everyone as somebody who might be punching us in the gut, make sure we don't get hurt, and don't fall in love, don't connect, don't leave that possibility of divinity, because the risks are just too high. So as we move through our lives, individually, communally, nationally, I want to invite us in those moments when it feels just too damn scary to stay open, when it feels exhausting to hold our arms up like this, when we feel like if I stay like this, you're going to come and jab me right in the stomach with a shiv, to have some of the courage, maybe not a shiv, you don't look like quite armed, but the point still stands, But we can also choose to do that. We don't have to operate out of fear. We don't have to operate out of defensiveness. We don't have to be looking for a fight all the time, even as it seems like that's what the world offers us. So my blessing for all of us from Vayakhel this Shabbat is that we have the courage and the strength and the fortitude to stand in that posture of openness and vulnerability in the hopes that out of that vulnerability, holiness will flourish. Shabbat Shalom.